Looks like there was some validity to some of that behind the scenes Amazon dealing with Games Workshop in order to try to force more female representation into the Warhammer 40K universe. And then also some additional validity to what Henry Cavill has to think about this, knowing that he is going to be helming one of the biggest projects in a multimedia sense that Warhammer has ever done. We're kind of coming to loggerheads on this one, especially if there's going to be production starting up sometime soon. Might as well try to get to the bottom of this. Henry Cavill not happy with Warhammer's introduction of female Custodes. Amazon wanted female Space Marines, but the activist class has been petitioning Games Workshop for a long time to have female Space Marines, and well, that's very likely to fall after the addition of female Custodes. I'm sure all of the retconning that Games Workshop will have to do whenever they release a new lore book, well, that's going to be awfully plentiful. You thought with the damage control that they were running for the female Custodes was something, running it back for female Space Marines, that's going to be a different thing. But it's not like there isn't a lack of females in Warhammer to begin with. Okay, the Sisters of Battle, that's the go-to regiment if you want to point to, female battle inclusion within the Warhammer universe. But then at the same time, this is an overwhelmingly male, overwhelmingly affluent pastime. If you want to push your diversity and inclusion crap, better point to one example where it worked before. You better understand the lore. You better get your references right if you're going to try to wedge anything in there. We need more women in Warhammer. Well, there's an adequate amount, so shut your yap and go somewhere else. No. Games Workshop, again, like a lot of these places, just wanting mainstream attention, knowing that Amazon, with their endless bankroll, was willing to come in and adapt their product. We're just going to go ahead and grab their ankles and do whatever the big corporation wanted to, which is a sad state of the world. But it is what it is, and then given the fact that the guy who's going to be making this show that is being infected by stupid corporate-led policies is such a outspoken fan of the product, well, you just got a recipe again for disaster. Like, I don't know what he must have been like a supervillain, a serial killer in a previous life, because this guy just does not have luck at all whatsoever. A new rumor alleges that Amazon, MGM Studios, and Prime Video wanted female Space Marines for their upcoming Warhammer film or series being helmed by Henry Cavill. However, Games Workshop compromised with female Adeptus Custodes. Yeah, and we talked about this before. It was supposed to be just a passing reference that hopefully nobody would take too terribly seriously, but you also have to understand that the Warhammer fandom, yeah, they comb over everything. You aren't going to miss anything, okay? So because their stupid tactic got called to the mat almost immediately, well, they weren't exactly ready to face the backlash. And the latest rumor comes in the wake of Games Workshop introducing a female Adeptus Custodes character named Custodian Calades Caravel Kesh, okay, in their Codex Adeptus Custodes. Oh, so now there's like an officially female custode, because I always thought that it was just a reference that, they said that, okay, yeah, they were all sons, but they didn't say that there wasn't daughters. Like, wait, what? Not only did Games Workshop introduce the character, but the official Warhammer social media account gaslit fans, saying that there's always been female custodians, despite the overwhelming evidence to the contrary. But no, they said this today. Everything that they said beforehand doesn't matter at all. In the wake of this announcement, a rumor surfaced on 4chan claiming female Custodes are only going to be mentioned in the Codex, no new sculpts or characters after the fact. Social media department jumped the gun and tried to put out the fires with the wrong hose. Yeah, but again, that's a 4chan rumor. While sometimes you can point to specific threads and their accuracy, you can take a look at the Star Wars Episode 9 Rise of Skywalker leaks. Over on Reddit, you had the Game of Thrones Season 8 leaks, and all of those were correct, but I'd say 4chan, Reddit, all of these anonymous posts don't exactly have a high batting average, okay? Intent is to push female Custodes characters in Amazon show without it breaking lore, because Amazon executives wanted a woman in power armor and wouldn't settle for the Sisters of Battle. Yeah, even though they're well-established and well-loved faction, but okay. People involved in the show were pissed because they're moving ahead on Eisenhorn. Okay, because yeah, that was another rumored storyline, that one of the most well-known stories within the Warhammer 40K lore, and Henry Cavill's a big fan of that, so it kind of made sense that he was going to be adapting that. Talks of inserting said female Custodes into Eisenhorn story, with Cavill threatening to walk away from the project. Small stock drop today, but Games Workshop figures it can ride it it out, and if it stays mum on the subject. Yeah, that's why we haven't really seen a lot of follow-up of this stuff. Okay, seen a lot of commentary over the top of it, but yeah, Games Workshop has kind of gone radio silent. Listen, here's our codex that's coming out. We aren't going to address any of the controversy. Everything is still going to be in there. We're not going to edit any of this stuff. We don't care what the actual fans have to say about that, and we're just going to try to weather the storm and build a bridge in order to our next project. In the moment that a shiny new trailer pops out, everybody will just forget about this controversy. Hopefully, this is their thought process, not like reality or anything like that. And then thinking that they can subtly change the lore moving forward. It's a bold strategy. We'll have to see if it works out. They really need better social media employees. Well, yeah, exactly. Cavill will be in an article due to heading to Games Workshop to work on the new series this week or next. Okay, so within the next couple of days, we should be seeing something. The leaker concluded, if he leaves, it'll be a noticeable hit to the share price, meaning the show is dead. A good ending, or Amazon is calling the shots. A bad ending, not Black Kogorians, but similar scenario. You can trust me, my dad works at Nintendo. Yeah, of course. Unless that's a specifically inside joke for 4chan boards. Yeah, exactly. Just poking fun at the fact that, yeah, I know I'm anonymous. I know that I'm just the simple Anon account, but hey, man, my predictions come true. Well, you can go ahead and, run back to this. Now, a new rumor from YouTuber Arch Warhammer. He's like one of the OGs in the game, so okay. And his inside source at Amazon MGM Studios alleges that Amazon did indeed influence the introduction of female Adeptus Custodes, and it was the result of a compromise because the streamer wanted female Space Marines. Yeah, so it even gets worse than that. Arch begins his video stating, my Amazon insider has given me some more information in regards to the female Custodes debacle and Amazon's involvement in it, which may, at least in part, exonerate Games Workshop. A bit later, he detailed, according to my insider, here, the attitude at Amazon Games Workshop meetings reached downright threatening levels, with the two sides were not happy with one another at all, with Games Workshop actually pushing back quite aggressively on the idea of female Space Marines, probably understanding that it would be devastating to their company. Yeah, that would be bad, okay? For as much blowback as they're getting for the female Custodes, okay, female Space Marines, it's like, even I'm pretty sure the layman, they'll pretty much understand that that's kind of a disastrous concession. I think the mainstream even understand that, yeah, Space Marines, they're just all big guys. Like, okay, what are we doing here? Okay, cool. So we'll just go ahead and pick a less known faction. Stop me if you've heard this before in any other industry. Yeah, well, we can't specifically make, like Bruce Wayne gay, but you can go ahead and pick one of the Robins and make him, a big dick enthusiast, okay? Probably understanding that it'd be so devastating to their company. I mean, look at their sheer scale of the shitstorm that they created by female Custodes, which is not anywhere near as massive a faction as the Space Marines. He continued, Games Workshop, knowing that it would be a terrible idea, pushed back a lot, but Amazon were not willing to give up on this either, and may have carried out various little tactics like threatening to bring back people on Amazon who were selling third-party goods for 40K related stuff. Oh wow, getting that dirty, huh? As they did even take down things like alternative dice sellers, and people were selling bases and so on. Oh wow, that might have been the thing. They might also have perhaps been talking about leaving the conversation altogether. Oh wow, okay, so it gets really worse. Large details. Eventually, my insider says Games Workshop caved in part, and the female Custodes was a compromise solution instead of both to ameliorate relationships with Amazon by going, okay, how about this? You'll have your female power armor, and we won't do it with the Space Marines, okay? And also as a way to demonstrate to Amazon that this was not going to go over very well. In fact, Arch detailed that an automated Amazon system has noticed significant complaints regarding the company's various IP-related shows, such as Wheel of Time, which, yeah, is not being received well by literally anybody. Rings of Power, supposed to be getting season 2 this year. There's a good chance that could get just dropped wholesale. Yeah, okay, you spend over $1 billion, and you did what you did to the lore in the first season, and then you're not even gonna spend a considerable amount of time hyping up season 2. What a disaster. And then, of course, what they're doing to Warhammer. Art shared. And indeed, Amazon's bots as well that monitor the feedback that Amazon gets has been noticing a sharp uptick in people sending in complaints about ruining universes like Rings of Power and mentioning the 40K TV show in specific. Now, they have not been acted upon, nor is there any indication that Amazon is particularly concerned yet, but there is now sufficiently large enough volumes of these complaints ahead to the the point where they're scrapping bots, the software, looking for feedback and is picking up on it and going. There's a lot of these. Should some human take a look at this? Maybe. Do we know what's going on here? What's causing this trend of negative feedback? Moving on to the Cavill stuff. So as for Henry Cavill, I have also heard something related to him now, namely that he is quite upset about this change. He is pissed at it, but he's not going to walk. He's just going to try to minimize their inclusion, any of the lore-breaking stuff, because if you recall, the primary reason that he walked away from the Witcher show was because of their blatant disregard and disrespect for the lore, so why would he go ahead and enter into a similar situation with a franchise, with an IP that he cares about even more than he does for The Witcher, which he does have a considerable amount of love for, but every interview that he has the opportunity to bring up one of his favorite things, he brings up Warhammer. Okay. Bearing in mind that we don't even know if it is possible for him to walk at this point as his introduction, and co-starring in this production is... this was one of the earliest fundamental piece of news about the Amazon Games Workshop TV show. For all we know, he could be bound hand and foot by contractual obligation and penalties at this point. I would imagine so. Alternatively, again, it's an Amazon paycheck. I'm not entirely sure. I would be willing to turn down, much less somebody who is an actual actor, and this is being his job. But he's also in the position where if he doesn't want to do something, he doesn't have to. I would say that he's probably bound contractually under the penalty of severe lawsuits if he were to walk away from this after it was announced and that Amazon is putting so much support behind. So yeah, that's probably a big reason why this is going to continue. It'll just be interesting, right? I wouldn't be surprised if he is indeed quite upset about this, because this is also his main faction, the Adeptus Custodes. Yeah, this is something that hits him right close to the heart, and that's what Games Workshop decided to concede on. That's something that he's going to have to reconcile, a franchise, right? Like I've told you, and he's made well known, and a lot of people understand that he loves this franchise. The Custodes are his favorite faction. That's the faction that is at the center of this firestorm. So he's staking his reputation once again on putting forward a show that the fans are going to appreciate, that he's going to appreciate. And now he has to wade through this stuff. There's nobody more unlucky in all of entertainment than Henry Cavill. It'll just be interesting to see how this develops, what goes on, because I'd imagine Warhammer's probably going to stay reasonably quiet on this topic up until we hear something official from Amazon. And we'll have a lot of people picking this stuff apart when it does in fact come out, and I know I'll be amongst them. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. One should follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.